Hi there ladies, it's another day of Q&A videos from Jamerrill. I collected these various questions over Instagram, Facebook, and the bottom of one of my YouTube videos that posted about a week or so ago. So I'm just going through and grabbing questions. I'm trying to organize questions because you guys asked lots of great stuff, so I'm trying to kind of group them into themes a little bit. Now, another question that I get quite often is, and it's a great question, viewing friends want to know what my husband does for a living, how we support our family of 9, and they also want to know what kind of business it is that I talk about that I do from home. So I'm going to go through all of that today. In short, of course it's going to be a long story with Jamerrill because I like to chat, but in short I'm going to go through how I support our family of 9 working online. Very interesting, huh? It's definitely something that I did not dream up. It was not a goal of mine. It was just a journey that the Lord has slowly led me on over these last 4 years. So I'm going to read a couple of the questions and then I'll just jump off from there. So Laura asked on Instagram, finding balance between homeschooling and running an at-home business. So we will touch on that. And then Join Today said, I'm new to your Instagram and YouTube. So far I enjoyed it, except I'd like to know a little bit more of your background. Where are you all from? Did you always know you wanted a big family? And what kind of at-home work did you do? I'm touching on some of her other questions in other videos, but I'm going to answer the what kind of at-home work I do. Reader Val08 Ella said that she'd like to know more about my home business. And then another Instagram follower, it's looks like Tammy's Clock, maybe is her name, and she says, Jamerrill, do you ever need help from WIC? That's the Women, Infants, and Children program. And then there are just several ladies in the comments, at least 3 or 4 more here that I'm seeing want to know, again, what Travis does for a living. So let me take you on a quick journey down blogging lane. In 2011, Liam, who you guys see Liam in the videos, he's 4.5, he was a brand new baby. And I had been reading some encouraging blogs online. My favorite blog, one of my favorite blogs of all time, is called Raising Arrows by my friend Amy Roberts. And I was greatly encouraged by Amy's blog and just the different things, the different snippets of her life she would share. Now, I had started a blog in 2008 when we traveled with my husband's job. This was before I was on Facebook, before any of my family had Facebook, so it was just a free little blogspot site to share pictures and things of our travels when we traveled with Travis's job up and down the East Coast. The kids were, how old were they? They were like 7, 4, and 1 year old then when we traveled. We road schooled for a year, as it's called. So I had that hobby blog going. In 2011, I had been reading Amy's blog, and I thought, in my spirit, I was just feeling like, Lord, there's stuff I want to say. There's things I want to say in my heart. I want to communicate and share with other moms and encourage them and encourage myself. And I wasn't exactly sure how to go about that, but I felt the Lord challenge me to get up in the morning before the kids got up and start blogging in the morning during those early morning hours. And my first blog was called Holy Spirit-Led Homeschooling. But I began sharing encouragement for other moms there every day, and within about 6 months or so, there was a little community forming of other moms, and we were having a great time in the comments. I started my first Facebook page. I was holding a few giveaways. I was also enjoying the time that I was able to share and blog, and so I started reading more about how to grow your blog, how to connect with your readers, how to make pictures for your blog, those sort of things. That was back in the day where not every blog post would have a picture because there wasn't a thing called Pinterest yet. It seems like there was never a world before Pinterest, but there was no Pinterest. So there was a lot to learn. So in the morning, a few hours before the kids would get up, I might get up and have my time with the Lord and blog maybe from 5 to 7, from 5 to 7:30, just a couple hours, however I could get it in. But then my blog began to really grow. And within about a year, I had probably 10,000 or so different moms on Facebook. And my page views, when I first started in the winter of 2011, I was getting about 700 page views a month. And by the end of that first year, I was getting close to 100,000 page views a month. I try not to be all about the page views, but my page views had grown considerably. So the blog was growing, and I was really enjoying it. And it was a really good hobby. But by the end of the first year, that hobby was starting to take about 4 hours. 4 hours most days between writing articles and promoting those articles and networking and retweeting and all that goes into blogging consistently. And I was just feeling like, you know what? If this hobby is now taking 4 hours a day, if I went to work as a nurse and picked up a few nursing shift hours, I could make $25, $30 an hour, maybe more, depending on the bonuses I picked up. So I was just really praying because I felt that the Lord had guided me to blog. I was just praying for the Lord to show me, Lord, how can I make an income? How can I supplement our income through my online and blogging efforts? Now, during that time, my husband was stuck in a job as a licensed electrician. They were working him 60 to 70 hours a week. Virginia is a right-to-work state, and they just worked him relentlessly. For him to work 6 or even 7 12-hour shifts sometimes in a week, and that was 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. I mean, at that particular facility, they worked their employees relentlessly. It was much easier to pay them a little bit of overtime than to hire new staff. And Virginia's a right-to-work state, so he either worked it or he didn't have a job. And he applied for other jobs, but really everything in our area was offering him the same hours, the same situation. So I just thought, at that time, my grocery budget was about $400 a month for our family of 7. Now, of course, 2 of those family members in the family of 7, it was little Gabriel, little Liam, and they weren't really taking up too much of that grocery budget. So I could do it, but I was having to use a lot of noodles, a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of canned cream of mushroom soup. If you have a super small grocery budget, us moms, we're creative. We will make it work. We are determined. But I thought, wow, if I could make grocery money off of my blog and my online efforts, what a blessing that would be to my husband. So I began to bring that to the Lord and pray for the Lord to show me how, just exactly how, because I was meeting moms who were making very nice part-time and even full-time incomes working online, and I wanted to do that too. So I went to bed praying about it one night, and then the next morning I woke up laid out in my spirit. I know that it was the Lord. My full business plan for freehomeschooldeals.com. Now, I say full business plan. There were some fuzzy areas. I wasn't 100% sure what it was supposed to look like, but God gave me the vision to build the site and the ability to build it. Actually, Travis was home because he was sick, and all of the kids were sick that morning when I woke up. So I told Travis, I said, Travis, I have this idea for this blog that really pulls from a lot of my passions, being a super frugal homeschooling mama. And I want to build the site, but I'm going to need you and the kids to lay down on the couch and be sick for the rest of the day. So they were sick all day. It was honest. And I sat there, and in about 16 hours, I built freehomeschooldeals.com. So within about a month, I had made grocery money. Within a few months, I had made enough to make our house payment. Within a few months after that, I was making as much as Travis was making, working 70 hours a week from my blog. Of course, was a huge answer to prayer, a mega blessing, and I believe it was just part of God's plan for our family. Now, within all that, Free Homeschool Deals just continued to explode. And all of my loyal readers from my Holy Spirit-led homeschooling blog, that's what really helped it, because I already had a medium-sized platform online. I already had a very strong base of loyal readers that just jumped on the bandwagon, shared free homeschool deals with their friends, and just the site continued to grow profoundly. And a full year then of just me trying to manage this exploding blog on my own. Now that was, I'll say it was a rough year. You know, I hate to look back and say anything was rough ever, because I know that the Lord uses everything, and you can tell that I am a glass is half full, not the glass is half empty kind of girl. I try to find the best in everything, although I do fail in that, but I try. That's where my heart is. So it was a hard year in that, you know, I was working in time blocks throughout the day. I would get up super early. Like I would get up probably about 5 or 6, and then I would work till about 9, and then I would not work for a few hours so we could get a meal and get school in, and then I would work in the afternoon when the little boys took their nap, and then I would have a few hours off in the evening for us to do dinner and some chores and try to get some family time in, and then I'd go back to work and work late. So it was not something I could keep up long term. But if you have built a business, if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, you know that you have to put in the hustle and you have to lay the foundation. And when you birth a business, it is hard work. And so I was blessed in that everything is online. So it was just a matter of me getting my laptop on and slamming out what I needed to slam out. And a lot of my heart for the free homeschooldeals.com site is, for many years I did not have any homeschool budget, or I had a very small homeschool budget, and I had to use my library card, my Bible, my refillable printer ink, and I had to just work online for resources, for free lap books, all kinds of free printables, you know, for the free Pizza Hut Book It Club, just everything I had to use online as my major source. So all of those skills and all those years of experience is what I put into the free homeschool deals site. Being a homeschool family, you know, struggling, but a very worthy struggle. You know, we could have put our children in public school, although that was never an option for us. And Travis, I could have kept working full-time as a nurse. He could have kept working full-time. I could have continued to have worked full-time as a nurse while we homeschooled, but there just came a season where the Lord told me to lay that down also. And I really believe that that was just to prepare me for what He had for me for blogging and working online. So let's see, back here on my timeline. So that one year, I also became pregnant with Amelia that year. It was just a year, it was a survival mode year. I mean, we got our school done, we got our meals made, we got the laundry done. But pretty much it was just about birthing the business and getting it running. And it did continue to grow. So my prayer became, okay, Lord, this must be part of your plan for me and my family. So I thank you that if I'm going to do this, I need Travis home. I mean, I could not handle running the business by myself. Yes, I had tried to hire help, and within that, my good friend Joanne did come on board to work with me. But I share that just to say, hey, it's not easy growing a business, and it's not easy if you blog as a hobby to then push and birth your blog to the next level. And I know and that's why everyone doesn't do it. So when I hear people say that the blogging market's saturated, there's no room for growth, I just tell them that's not true. You know, if you want to blog or push your blog to the next level or any of that, there is plenty of room for you. It's a great big world, but you do have to put the time and the hustle into it. You know, during that one year where things really exploded, I probably worked 60 hours a week, and Travis probably worked 70 hours a week. So I was praying for God to bring him home full time. I felt like that would be very helpful. It would help me stay grounded. Obviously, it made more sense for him to come home full time than for me to try to hire outside help. You know, none of that is what I wanted. I just wanted God's best for our family. So I'll just leave that as that year was wild, and we prayed the whole time for God to help us, for the Lord to help us make wise decisions, and for us to get it straight and to try to get it right. So let's see, I had Amelia in February of 2013, and we tested it. Travis came home and took 3 months of Family Medical Leave Act. And you know how it can be as a small business owner. I have times, I'll have, ebbs and flows. I'll have times where I think, okay, this might be it. I might be going out of business. And then I'll have something else bust loose. And I know it's like that in a brick and mortar business too. So when he came home for those 3 months, it was just really a test. And you know what? My income still, the business income was still there. I still had the funds to have the help that I needed to help me run the site, and we just kept moving forward. So he was off February, March, April. He went back to work in May. May was just like how life had been for that first year. It was a total roller coaster, way too much. I definitely needed him home to help me and to support me emotionally and help me make wise choices, obviously to help with the children. So he went back to work in May, and I was like, oh, we can't function. We can't do this. And also I needed more help for my business, and I was struggling trying to find the right help and get the right people in the right positions, and everything's still growing and growing, and it's like drinking from a fire hydrant. So in June, we decided to take the leap and for him to come home full time. And we were just going to try and see, if we were doing anything against the Lord or, against God's will. We believed that God would show us. We both had peace about him coming home full time. And it just kept being confirmed again and again that he needed to be home. It made no sense for me. By that point, my business was making 2 to 3 times what his annual salary was. So it made no sense. We're not money hungry people. We did not need 2 full-time incomes. I mean, you can tell there is nothing major fancy going on here. We do live a very simple life, but that's because we've decided to, for this season, live off of the business and the opportunities the Lord has given me online. Okay, ladies, I had to move location because they are doing some construction across the road from us, and they have some very loud speakers carrying on going on over there. So Travis came home in June 2013. We were just going to test it out and see, because it worked the 3 months he was on Family Medical Leave Act. And again, he had been working 70 hours a week for years. He would still be doing it to this day if he had to, if we needed him to. But we brought him home. And immediately we began to feel peace in our home and balance in our marriage. And Travis, by the time he got home, honestly could almost not walk from the years of wearing those big heavy work boots on concrete. I mean, his back and his legs, and plus he played football. You can tell he's a big guy. So we had to get him right to the chiropractor, and it took several months to get him straightened out. So our whole family, we needed him home. We needed balance. And it's what made sense at the time. Now, fast forward, it is now summer of 2015, and he has been home for 2 years. So during the last 2 years, it does not mean that he came right home and we instantly had all our systems set up and we knew what it was going to look like. We just knew that our family needed to be together and we needed to have him home. Now, I will pause and say, because I have shared about this online, I have had snarky comments. I've had people tell me that it's not God's will for my husband to be home, that he needs to be providing for our family. I've also had people tell me that, for me to say that my blogging brought him home demeans him. And, I know I'm the one talking about it, so of course I'm going to get those comments. I will just say that we have to go where God's blessing is. And God's blessing, his hand, his provision has been on me working online. And where I used to, that 1 year where Travis still worked and I tried to hold on to the reins of the exploding blog, I was working crazy hours then. And I've had a long period of time now where I don't have to work those crazy hours. I work very part-time hours now. There's still a lot that I do. There's a lot that's required of me. And so part of the transition that we're going through is, when Travis first came home, we weren't exactly sure what our schedule should look like. We didn't know, okay, does this mean that I need to work from 6 a.m. to noon, 4 days a week, and then be off the rest of the time? Does this mean that I need to work long days and have a bunch of days off. And eventually that's what we came to do, because I am a nurse at heart and I was used to those 12-hour shifts for well over a year, probably the last year and a half. I have worked 2 10 to 12-hour days a week. I've worked Wednesdays and I've worked Saturdays from about 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And just those 2 days, Travis was totally in charge. You know, the kids knew mom works on those 2 days, dad's in charge these days. So I would get the household run in the morning, and then I would go upstairs and I would work for 10 or 12 hours. And that way I would have 5 days completely off, where, you know, I have some other ladies that work for me and things that are scheduled, and, you know, the homeschool freebies and deals, they never stop. But I was able to get my time in that I needed to get in. And so that worked great until, you know what happened? My neck gave out on me in June. I was also doing traveling. You know, my family was traveling with me while I was doing some speaking with different conventions. And in between 2 trips, if you remember the story, I got to the point where I couldn't swallow because my neck hurt so bad. And I think honestly, it has been the last 4 years that I've worked really hard at the computer that it's caused the injury to my neck. So now we are in a major transition time of reworking our family schedule, reworking our home schedule, reworking my work schedule. So a lot of your questions are about our home and our routine and our schedules, and I'm just saying it's summertime and we are figuring that out. I think what our new schedule is going to be is that I'm going to work most evenings from about 7 to 10 or 7 to 11 after our day is done. You know, my goal is I want to be full-on mom from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And my mind is a big time map. It's just the way that the Lord made me. I like my whiteboard. I like dividing things in time blocks. And so I just see, okay, full-on mom, 12 hours, 7 to 7, and that's what I want. That's my heart. So don't feel sorry for me, because that's where I want to be. And then once I get the little kids settled, then I'll go work for 3 or 4 hours. And that's just what's required of me. However, I am not saying that at all for anyone to feel sorry for me. That is a huge blessing. If I can work 3 or 4 hours most evenings and support my entire family of 9, and also have other moms who work for me, and them working for me and what I'm doing online is also in turn blessing their families and buying their groceries. I mean, the wheel of blessing goes around. Also, my almost 15-year-old son, Jaden, you know, he's been working for me about 5 hours a week, and he's probably going to be working for me more closer to 10 hours a week now once we get settled back in. So we are just going with where the Lord has us. We have absolutely no red flags that we're being disobedient or out of balance in any way. We just have to go with, our life doesn't look like the setup or the life of a lot of other people we know. I know moms who have large websites online, and of course I've met many of them in person. I know moms who the Lord has blessed their online businesses, and their husbands have either come home to work with them or have come home to do another business or support them in some way. And we are out there. There's just not many of us. And so people want to know, well, how does that work and what does that look like? So in short, I guess that wasn't short, I have a business. My LLC name is Jamerrill Publishing Company, but it's everything that I do online under that umbrella. And God He gives me opportunities and opens doors and makes a way and gives me ideas, and He's blessing what I'm doing online. Now, if this door ever closes and I'm no longer working online, I don't fear that. You know, some people have said, well, Jamerrill, what if the internet ends? Oh, okay, I don't know. What if the internet does end? I don't think the internet's going anywhere, but if it ever does, Jesus knows the end from the beginning, and He'll have something else for us. So I know other questions that I get is moms want to know how to start a blog, how to get into blogging, and how all that works. So below in the description, I have a link that takes you to an article sharing more about how I support my family of 9 online, and also shares how you can build your own blog and gives you some ideas on how to brainstorm and decide what kind of blog that you would like. You know, I know moms successfully on the monetary end supporting their families or supplementing their husband's income. And there are blogs about homesteading. There are successful blogs about homeschooling, blogs about homemaking. I mean, the list goes on. Basically, anything that you start sharing about, sharing honestly from your heart, you can turn that into a blog, and you can turn it into an online platform that not only ministers and blesses others, it can come back and minister and bless you and your family. And in the link that's below, I also have links to some of my favorite resources to encouragement and some favorite books that I have read. You know, Michael Hyatt, he's a good one to follow. I know Amy Lynn Andrews, when I first started blogging and when I built my free homeschool deals site, I read her site a lot. Of course, my friend Crystal Payne from Money Saving Mom, she's been supporting her family for years. I mean, for over a decade. She's been making more than a full-time income online. And you go to her site, and she has articles and information on how she's done it and how you can do it too. So I'm just sharing because the question gets asked. You know, I know another mom on Instagram wanted to know if we ever need WIC for assistance. Praise God, we don't qualify for any public assistance. Again, we are not multimillionaires. You know, as a business owner, of course, it looks real big on one side what I make, and then I have business expenses. I have people who work for me, I have equipment, I have trips, I have things going on that need to be paid for, and then I also have to pay out myself and provide for my family. And that's where in some of my grocery videos, I mean, my grocery budget is higher than some families, and that's because since I also juggle the demands and the roles of being a working mom and a business owner and a business manager and an online encourager, that sometimes it's just easy for me to buy the chicken and buy the tomatoes, and so that I can have what I need at home to still make those meals and be full on mom at home. So I will leave you ladies be today, because I am sure you've heard more than enough of Jamerrill providing for her family online. But if you are interested in learning more about this, if you want to know income earning ways on how you can help provide for your family online, click the link below. It's going to take you to my full article with lots more information for you. And these Q&A videos are a lot of fun. I hope that you are enjoying them. There's going to be another brand new Q&A video tomorrow. These are some fantastic questions, and I look forward to chatting it up with you in the comments below. Bye-bye.